going on, everyone? Welcome to episode number 38 of the Diego Collie Football Show. And the Seattle Seahawks play on Sunday for a chance to go to Super Bowl 60. Those are words that I don't think a whole lot of people expected to hear at the beginning of the season. Even Seahawks fans, I had some optimism going into the season, thought they'd win the division, but to be here right now is a bit of a surreal feeling. And you don't want to overlook anyone, obviously, at all, but this game feels like you're preparing for the Super Bowl. The amount of content that's been pumped out this week, the Seahawks media team is posting videos. Feels like I want to run through a brick wall watching them. I just want this game to happen. This Thursday night, as I'm recording this, I'm ready for game day. I mean, the amount of just speculation, the amount of people on ESPN sitting in a chair saying that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford they're not going to lose this game after winning these last two close ones. They're not going to blow this opportunity to win a Super Bowl. It's nonsense, and I'm ready for this game to happen. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Broncos Patriots game. It's conference championship weekend, one of the most high level weekends of football we get all season long, and it's finally here. And the Seattle Seahawks are playing in it. A crazy feeling. So we'll start with that game. So it's the Seahawks and the Rams. I feel like it always had to be the Seahawks and the Rams. Obviously, I was cheering for the Bears. I like rooting for the Chicago Bears. And quite frankly, they should have won that football game. Their poor defense, which has kind of been their weakness all season long, stepped up and kind of shut down Sean McVay and shut down Matthew Stafford, and the Rams found a way to win. And kudos to the Rams. That's what good teams do. That's what good experienced teams do. But that's kind of two games in a row now. That Carolina game as well. They did not play their best football. They were sloppy on special teams. Their defense got gashed at times, and they found a way to win it. That's back-to-back games where they're flying across the country. They fly to Carolina, they fly to Chicago, and they found ways to win these close games. And now they set up a rematch of Week 16, a rematch of Week 11. These two teams are playing for the third time this season in the best division in football, the NFC West. Three of the last four teams that were left are in the NFC West. And it sets up this matchup. And this week I was going back and I watched the Week 11 game and I watched the Week 16 game, and two very different football games. That's kind of the weird part about what we've seen is Week 11 game is obviously the Sam Darnold 4 interceptions, but other than that, the offense moves the ball well. They almost double the Rams in yards. Darnold throws for 280 yards and has the 4 interceptions, but they rush for 135 yards. He throws for 280, doesn't get sacked once, and the Rams. Mike McDonald stuffed Sean McVay in a locker, and they get gifted 2 short fields that leads to 2 of their touchdowns. That kind of leads them winning that football game. I mean, Stafford only throws for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. They run for 119, but the Seahawks defense dominated that football game, and it was quite frankly the only reason why that wasn't a blowout in the measures of the Rams on the Rams side of things. And then the Week 16 game, the game that I was at, the Seahawks. This was a weird game because in the fourth quarter there was a time when it was 30-16. They were up 16 points, whatever it was. It's not coming to me right now. But the Seahawks had points in that game where they felt like they were in control. I mean, they go down and score early. They hold the Rams. They come out of half. They're down 6 after Kupp fumbled before the half. It's another game of sloppy, unforced errors. And they score and they go up out of halftime. And then they kind of just have this whole quarter of football where they just unravel to go down to 16 points. And that's when the floodgates start to open. Shaheed returns to the punt and the momentum all shifts. And all of a sudden, this offense that was humming and kind of whooping them for that whole quarter and maybe the first 2 is shut down. And it allows the Seahawks to come back into that game. And something that stood out to me about that game and is a big factor in this game is the Seahawks have not sacked Matthew Stafford once. They have not sacked him one time this year. Have they hit him? Yes. But in that Week 11 game, the game they had more success on the defensive side of the ball, they only pressured him 11 times. It's not like they were constantly getting to him quick, and that's what it was flustering him and kind of allowing the defense to have success. It wasn't that. They had lockdown coverage. They stopped the run pretty well. So that was interesting to me. And in the Week 16 game, they had 26 pressures. So over double the pressure amount, but the Rams offense has doubled the amount of explosive plays. In Week 11, they had 4 explosive plays. In Week 16, they had 10. You can't let this team do that. And that was without Devontae Adams. So just 2 different games and 2 different scripts by the defense and 2 different coach of games by Mike McDonald and Sean McVay. And I think when you come into this third matchup, it's kind of, I've heard multiple people say it throughout the week, kind of got to throw those out the window. And I agree, because these are two of the best coaches at their, just coaches overall in the sport, especially at what they do. Mike McDonald on the defensive side of the ball, Sean McVay on the offensive side of the ball, obviously. They're going to look at these tendencies. They're going to look at back at these matchups. They're coming to this game with a completely different game plan. Yes, they're going to bring some things from each thing, some of the things they did well, but you can't come into the game with, you don't think that they went into the week 16 game with, oh, we're going to do what we did in week 11. It's going to work. We're going to shut them down again. No, that's not how good play callers work. That's not how it works in the National Football League. These are two high level guys with high level players on each side of the ball. You got 3 second team All Pros on the Seahawks defensive side. Criminal that there's no first teamers. You got Matthew Stafford, MVP favorite, arguably, him or Drake May, Puka Nacua, Offensive Player of the Year nominee. It's a battle of titans in this game. This game feels like the Super Bowl. The way that this game is being talked about the most, obviously the Jarrett Stidham storyline kind of has something to do with that. But even if Bo Nix was healthy, this is the main event. I know this game was already set in primetime. This would be the primetime game no matter what. This is the game that everyone's going to be waiting for. Two of clearly the best teams in football all season long, matching up again for the third time for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. It's going to be in Seattle, their first conference championship game since 2014. I mean, the atmosphere is going to be insane. The atmosphere last week was absolutely rocking. I can only imagine what it's going to be like this week. I mean, it's the amount of ex-players that are going to be there. Just and also the fact that the Rams have like 0 fans. There's not going to be, with the Niners, it's kind of a threat. Like, oh, are the Niners going to come up and fill the Seahawks stadium with red? I don't think anyone's worried about Rams fans coming into Lumen Field and taking over. That just isn't really a possibility. They can barely even fill up their own stadium. Something I also noticed from Week 16 was that the Rams kind of dominated the middle of the field. There were so many plays, just the deep dig routes that they would hit to Puka Nacua, and he'd simply just catch it, find a seam, and run. And I think that also had something to do with Ernest Jones having probably his worst game of the season. I think 2 of his worst games of the entire year came in both the Rams game. He didn't grade out on PFF well on either of those fronts. And that can't happen in this game. But I don't think it's going to happen. Ernest Jones is playing his best football of the year right now. I mean, last week he has a forced fumble. He has an interception. He has 6 interceptions across the entire year, which is insane for a middle linebacker. And he's not going to let this happen 3 times. I think he was kind of battling some injuries in both those games. Matthew Stafford knows that he even said in his press conference, we know Ernest is over there, former teammate of his. He's playing good football right now. You have to look out for him. Yes, you do. It's a massive part of the game plan. And him and Drake Thomas, they're 2 of the most important pieces for this defense, obviously, in the middle of that defense. Ernest Jones has the green dot. He's calling the defense, getting the signals in, but they have to be on their A game with the amount of play action, with the amount of movement, with the amount of motion that McVay has in the backfield. Those 2 guys need to be on it, because those play action passes, those run fits derive all from that. Talking about the run fits, kind of a puzzling part of the Week 16 game was how dominant the Rams ran the football. They ran for 124 yards. Kyron ran for 23 yards for 23 carries, 70 yards. Blake Corum was 14 for 50. And especially early in the game, obviously towards the end of the game when they got the stops, they were able to adjust and kind of stuff the run. But early in the game, Kyron Williams is piercing through the defensive line almost every single run. And that led to him getting 3 to 4 yards. Even if it's 2 to 3 yards, you give these guys 2nd and 7, you give them 3rd and 4, they're going to capitalize on. They'll run on 3rd and 4 and get the first down on that 4th down. And that just makes it so much more easy for an offense like that when you can allow them to get 3 to 4 yards of play and set up these 3rd and shorts, which is effectively 2 down territory. And McVay showed in the last game, and I think he's going to show it in this game again, he's going to be aggressive. If it's 4th and 2 on the first drive on anywhere from his 40 to the rest of the field, I think he's going to go. Like, this is a game he knows that if you get to a situation like that on 4th and 2 and it is reasonable and you're able to go for it, he's going to have to try to make a play over McDonald. He can't let that drive go as a win for McDonald. He's going to have to try to, hey, you held us to 4th down here. That's not the end of the drive. Line it up again, and we're gonna try to convert this 4th down and continue the drive. It's a really, really important factor of this game. And I think another piece to that, along with Ernest Jones, the Week 16 game was a short week, and that kind of stuff, it doesn't affect some guys. Like a quarterback, it's not going to matter for Sam Darnold. For the team, they're not going to practice full speed during that week. When you have a game on Sunday, you're not going to practice full speed when you have a game on Thursday, obviously, because guys are banged up from Sunday. They just can't do that. McDonald said last time that he installed too much in the game plan. He was trying to get to too much stuff, and that led to some confusion. That led to some breakdowns in the secondary in that last game, and it was a factor in the game until they adjust at halftime or even into the fourth quarter, and they were able to shut him down and eventually make the comeback and win the game and stack together those stops late in the game. That is he's not going to over prepare these guys. These guys are going to have all of that on their plate, and they're going to be prepared for this game. It's not a short week. They've had a full week of practice. You can even say that during the bye week, they were somewhat preparing for the Rams. I mean, it's not like they were fully focused on it, but the coaching staff for sure, because they were one of the options that you could have played in the divisional round. So you can't even say that there wasn't prep being done already on them looking into it when there looked like there was a chance that if the Eagles won, you're going to have to play LA. So that they're going to be ready. The defense is going to be ready. And I don't, quite frankly, expect any miscommunication breakdowns in the secondary. That was something that happened in that game, which was frustrating. It led to questions about, is the noise too much to this defense with the amount of communications that they have to make? Is it unoptimal for the Mike McDonald defense to play a game at home? No. Stuff happens. They'll figure out ways to communicate, and they will in this football game. I don't expect communication lapses to be the reason that Stafford and Nakua are the ones that are gashing them in this game. I just don't see that as, if that's the reason you lose this game, that's unpreparing on the coaching staff, and that's on the players for not being able to adjust and communicate. That just can't happen. Another thing, when it comes to the Rams offense, they've been off. They've been off their rocker the last few weeks. Going back to that Week 16 game, if you look at the Falcons game, Stafford throws multiple interceptions, bad interceptions. He's missing guys. He's inaccurate. And you go into the first round of the playoffs, you're like, all right, these guys are going to turn it on. It's playoff time. They're not gonna slack them in this game. Like they know how serious it is, and it's sloppy again. They just Puka dropping balls, them just making sloppy mistakes on the special teams front, and go to the Bears game, which I thought would look more like if the Bears are going to stay in this game, I thought it was looking more like the Panthers game, where it was 34-31, whatever the score was, and the Bears were able to rattle them. And you can say amount it to the cold field. You can amount it to, I mean, them playing in the cold. Maybe Stafford's hand was banged up, but there was no. They were Dennis Allen was just blitzing his DBs, and they were botching basic blitz pickups. Stafford was taking hits more than he took in the Seahawks game. I don't know actually the exact pressure numbers, but I'll pull that up right now. It was weird because it was a horrible Bears defense that I expected them to really, I mean, maul and overwhelm, and that is not the case. I mean, they only pressured them 14 times. They were to get home with 4 sacks. Jaquan Brisker had one. Looks like Montez Sweat had one. Dominic Robinson had one. Kyler Gordon also had one. So I was another one of the DB. It was just those automatic DB blitzes, which the Rams are usually so good at picking up. Usually when you blitz Stafford, he's going to shred you. He's going to find the guy that's open. And he did that during the game, late in the game. On that crucial, I believe it was 3rd and 4. Bears brought the house. He found Puka. The safety was playing 15 yards off. I have no idea why that was the game plan there. But Stafford's the guy that usually shreds the blitz. And I'm curious to see when Mike McDonald goes to these blitzes because the Bears just had success with it. He's not going to do it a lot. He's never been a guy that notoriously blitzes a lot because he doesn't really need to. He does it more with the kind of disguise blitz. He'll drop a DB, drop a lineman back, bring a DB. You have the same guys in coverage as you would if you just dropped everyone normal and rushed the 4 defensive linemen. But he finds ways to bring the pressure. He's going to bring Eamon Warren in this game. He's going to bring Witherspoon in this game, and they need to capitalize and hit Stafford. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to pull up my keys to the game because I think the offense, there's multiple things they need to do. And obviously, the first thing on this list, no turnovers. No turnovers to give points, in my opinion, because this team has shown, and it's not the greatest thing in the world, they can win the game turning the ball over. It's not comfortable. It's not sustainable. But, I mean, the game against the Rams in Week 11, they turned the ball over 4 times. Darnold throws 4 interceptions, and they arguably should have won the game. So, whether that's the defense stepping up, special teams making a big play, when Darnold throws an interception on the goal line in week 16, another interception at midfield that gets returned all the way to the 2, they found ways to make up for it. But this point right here on top, no turnovers to give points. And that's what they've done in both these games. The first possession of the game in week 11, they get the turnover on downs. He throws an interception the second play from scrimmage. It's turned to the 4-yard line. That's a crusher. That's when your defense is on the field the entire time. You give the ball right back, and it's an automatic touchdown. Same as the Week 16 game. That interception at midfield gets to turn all the way to the 4. That's practically a pick 6. He has practically, in my opinion, had 2 pick 6s, one in each game against the Rams. That cannot happen. And I'll go to this one. I'll skip over the second point here to kind of stay on that point. And that one is that you need to take shots against these guys. Where have multiple of these interceptions came? It's when he's going underneath on 3rd and short, 3rd and 5, 3rd and intermediate. He's throwing to the sticks. Whether it's on that 3rd down, whether it's early in the downs, take shots over the top. We just saw the Bears and the Panthers have success against this Rams secondary. That has kind of been the weakness of their defense recently. It's their secondary. They're getting burned over the middle. They're getting burned on these deep dig routes. That is kind of what the Seahawks need to attack. The way that they played offense early in the season, they need to get back to some of those concepts, because settling on 3rd and 4, throwing a slant at the first down marker, throwing a hitch at the first down marker, sending guys on curls, and that's where you're going there. That is not how you're going to win this football game. Chris Shula has notoriously played Darnold very, very well. He has his number for sure. And Darnold says in his press conference, I'm just going to let it rip. And there's Rams fans on Twitter like, oh, I hope he lets it rip. We saw what happened last time. No, like in week 16, he did in overtime, and that's kind of what led to them having success. And he threw the play action fake to Barner, the corner to Cup. That was him letting it rip. The interception, he's just deciding I'm going to throw this slant. I'm going to take one step and throw this slant. And they had it read. That's on Clint Kubiak as well. I don't think those interceptions were fully on Darnold, because that's kind of what he calls there. It's 3rd and 4. He calls a double slant concept. At some point, when guys are sitting flat-footed, ready to jump on it, you have to make an adjustment. And I'd hope that since they haven't done that in either of these games, this is the game to do it. This is the game you dial that up and you hit one. Like, I'm fine with you. If it's 3rd and 5, I'm fine with you taking a shot there. Like, it doesn't always have to be a situation where let's get it the first down, let's keep the ball moving. You take shots on 1st down too. Be unpredictable. Clint Kubiak needs to have he needs to coach his ass off in this game. In my opinion, in week 16, although that they won the football game, he had a poor game. He had a few good play calls. I thought the Barner play call was fantastic. Obviously, the play action, and they read the tendencies. He rolls to his left, he throws back to the right. But overall, they've gotten too many ruts at times where it'd be 3 and out, punt the ball right back. A drive would get killed by a Cooper Kupp fumble, which is not on Kubiak. But that was a game that I thought was poorly managed by Clint Kubiak, and he needs to bring out all of his. He's to call his best game of the season in this game, and I don't think that's an exaggeration. Another thing that has kind of picked up steam, especially when they played the Rams, is the run game. The run game has been thriving when the Seahawks have played the Los Angeles Rams. In week 11, they're in for 135 total, like I mentioned that. In week 16 was kind of the first game that Kenneth Walker kind of exploded on the scene. 11 carries, 100 yards, 1 touchdown. They need to stay ahead of the sticks. I know I mentioned I want them to take shots on 1st down, but the run game has had success. I'm not saying if they're stuffing it to keep pounding it into a wall, kind of like Ben Johnson did last week, which the Rams are definitely able to do. Like, if there's ever a team that's going to shut down this run game, it can be the Rams. But we can't have these sloppy holding penalties. We can't have these plays on 1st down where you're getting too cute and trying to run not like a trick play, but running a play where you give them the ball super far behind the line of scrimmage and it results in a negative play, and now you're at 2nd and 12. But it's like, hey, we can drop guys back, and we know they're going to take a shot down the field. That's not what we need to do. You cannot fall behind early in downs, because that's a drive killer. That is a drive killer. Especially early in the season, they were really good at overcoming these 3rd and 20s, 2nd and 20s. But recently, that's not the way they played football. It just, quite frankly, isn't. So that's something that they really need to avoid, because you can't have 3 and outs. Even if your defense is playing well, you can't have 3 and outs consistently to punt the ball back to McVay. He's going to produce points. He is going to produce points with Stafford and Puka. Another thing, last thing on the offense side of the ball, last key here. they need to establish JSN early. I believe it's both these Rams games now that the first half goes along and Jackson Smith and Jigba has like 0 catches. I know for a fact that's what it was in week 16. And then they'll come out in the second half like, oh, let's look at the box score. And our best player, the AP Offensive Player of the Year, hasn't touched the ball once. And then they come out and they give to him 3 times on the first drive. So it's not like there's nothing you can do to take away Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like these DBs on this team are not going to take him away. Like that's not it's not possible. Like you can get him the ball in so many ways. You can throw him a screen. You can throw him an out route. You can throw him a crosser. You can have Shaheed go over the top. And you can throw him the deep cross like they did in the Niners game multiple times. They have to on the first play of the game throw him the football. If you're not running the ball, dial it up. They say, hey, you're going to roll right. Jason's going to be there. If not, something else is going to be there because they're going to be committing to taking him away. The Rams aren't able to take him away. He's had success in both games. The only thing that has hindered him in the times that we played the Rams this year is our own coaching staff and our own play calling. They cannot, especially like no matter how this game is going, both these games they were down at halftime. And you come out in the second half, and that's when you come back and get yourself back in the game because you establish your best player. I think that has to be a no-brainer, is that the first 2 drives of the football game, he has to touch the ball at least 3 or 4 times. And I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. Another thing I'm going to mention on the offensive side of the ball, before I get to the defense, is Cooper Kupp. I think his breakout game he had last week is really, really important because whether it was Barner in the first game, he had 10 catches, it's a career game for him, or it was Kupp last week, kind of on these big third downs. Him or Barner, one of the two needs to step up. Him against his former team, I like that, especially because I think this can be a Shaheed game. I mean, I mentioned taking shots. I've said it's going to be a Shaheed game every single week now since we acquired him. If there's ever a game for it to be, I think it's going to be this game, especially because with no Charbonnet, unfortunately, they're going to need someone else to take carries. I'm not saying I want to hand the ball 5 times, but throw him a little swing pass. Maybe giving him a screen route where he lines up in the backfield. However it is, he's going to be a big part of the game plan because that's a guy that usually gets 14-year carries in Zach Charbonnet. He's not getting those in this game. If George Halani steps up, which I think he's going to play, looks like he's going to be the backup, which I love to hear. He's going to carry the ball like 5 times probably. I don't necessarily see them giving the ball to George Halani 10 times. So someone else need to step up in that production spot. On the defensive side, they have to win the blitzes. I mentioned the Bears having success against the blitzing against Niners last week. When Mike does it, he can't get burned by McVay. He can't get out coached by McVay when he does it. He has to time it right. And you don't need to spam it with this defense. You don't need to spam anything. But when he brings that heat, they need to hit Stafford. 3 opportunities for Nick Mean Worthy coming in at 22 miles an hour and blowing up Matthew Stafford. They need to capitalize on those times. And whether they don't get the sack, whether they don't hit him, those need to be forced where he needs to be late in the game when they bring the heat, whether he got hit early in the game or whether he took a sack. He needs to be rushing through his progression because he knows he doesn't want to take that hit again, because he knows he doesn't want to take that strip fumble. That's a part of it. And another point on defense, hit Stafford, like I just said. The defensive ends, hit him early. Don't let him get comfortable. You can't let him settle into this game. And because honestly, when he's on, I don't think there's a better quarterback in football. When he's making those stupid little no-look passes, when he's able to move around and hit guys on the move in stride perfectly, there's no one better. You need to fluster him early. You need to push those tackles back into him. And again, make him feel uncomfortable back there in the pocket. Last point there, stuff the run. Obviously, in the first game, they had success early. I mean, just based on the stats, they ran for over 100 yards. But that game, it just felt like every time, every big third and short, every big down there, they were getting stuffed. Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams were stuffing it. Brandon Peely played in that game. Brandon Peely did not play in week 16. He's kind of the big run stuffer on this defense that goes in on the Nitty-Go Jumbo. I think that's massive that he's going to be back in this game. And kind of like, he's not going to be a game breaker, but just having that big body in there on those big downs, those third and shorts, fourth and shorts, I think is a really, really important thing. So those are the keys to the game. Let's get into a prediction. Before that, actually, some injury news. Darnold's going to be fine. He's throwing this week. He's limited. but he's actually going through practice. Like, I don't think it's going to be an issue. He's better than he was last week. I don't see his oblique being a problem. Cross, who went out with a foot injury, seems like he's going to be fine. He didn't practice on, what was yesterday, Wednesday. He was limited today. Mike said they're optimistic, so I'm expecting him to go. Mari Kite and Josh Jones, I don't think either of them practiced today. They need one of those guys to be ready because with Charles Cross, he has a nagging foot injury. He has a hamstring injury, which happened last week. He has the knee, which also happened he has the hamstring, which held him out for a few weeks. He has the knee injury, which kind of popped up out of nowhere. They need one of those guys to be ready. It cannot be some guy that's on the practice squad right now, or they can't have an alternative if they're sliding Zabel out. They have to have one of those two backup tackles ready. Rams are healthy. Halani, he'll be important if he's able to play in this game. I trust him way more than Velus Jones. And Elijah Arroyo, I'm not sure about the activation situation, who they'd have to let go, but I'd like to see him in this game. I mean, I think he brings an aspect to the downfield passing game that a guy like Eric Saubert doesn't. Eric Saubert's great in the run game, but I think Arroyo brings a huge deep threat that we haven't seen in a while, and just kind of a big body that Sam can trust. One more factor before I get into my prediction. Special teams. Can Jay Harbaugh find one thing to swing the game in the Seahawks' favor? Something that he's done multiple times this season. He does it last week with the one-man return in the back, only Shaheed. He does it in the Atlanta game with that return. They had that set up beautifully. The kicking unit's been good. Can Jason Myers just play a clean football game? I shouldn't even have to mention that. It just feels like the special teams has been so good all year, and the Rams has been so poor. That's the reason they almost lost the Carolina game. They get the punt block. The Seahawks game, they have that punt return. Can they have one little exploit? Can Jay Harbaugh find one thing on punt block? Can he find one thing on kick return? Can he exploit something at somewhere else in the game over the Rams, which is proven to be a weakness? I'm not relying on it. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. That's why the Seahawks are in the football game. But it's an interesting thing to look at, that big plays have been made by the special teams unit and by the special teams coach, and that's a Rams weakness. So, what's going to happen in this game? It's hard not to be optimistic. But it's the NFC Championship. It's the biggest stage that any of these guys have been in. Mike Macdonald's biggest game of his coaching career. But he has the team ready. There's nothing I'm more certain on that he has his defense ready. The offensive game plan, I trust them. They know what they want to do. You kind of see what happens as they go into the game. Is that going to blow up in their face? Are the Rams going to have a great counter? Is Chris Shula going to have Clint Kubiak's number, and they're going to have to adjust? Mike Macdonald is ready for this football game. I would put my house on Mike Macdonald being ready for this football game and his defense being prepared in this game. Can Sam lead the team in a fashion that he has in the last few weeks perfectly, where he's keeping the ball out of harm's way? He's taking shots when he needs to. He's taking calculated risks. In that Niners game last week, I thought he took shots that made sense, and he tucked it down when he had to. He didn't know if he was full throttle with the arm, with the oblique. He checked it down the bar when he needed to. Can he do that again and overcome this Rams demon that he seems to have had? Because you can say week 16 happened, whatever. Nothing's gonna. If you lose the NFC Championship, those things are all right back. Everyone's forgetting what happened in week 16. And I think that they can. I think that their run game's in the best spot that it's been all season. Poor level in the last few weeks. And I expect him to come into this game with a great game plan. And I expect the best Rams. But I do also think that the Seahawks are due to turn these guys over. I don't believe that they've thrown an interception in either of the games. They have not. I know Puka fumbled in the first game. That was their only turnover. In the last game, they had 0 turnovers. They have took care of the ball. They have 1 turnover in 2 games. And Donald had 6 interceptions. And I don't know if the Seahawks have a fumble. Yeah, Cooper Kupp lost the fumble. That's 7. And yeah, they have 7 turnovers. The Rams 1. I don't expect that to happen again. If this turnover battle is even if it's 1-0, I think that they win this football game. And I think the Rams are due to turn the ball over. This defense has played these guys well enough to force one, get a batted ball in the air. Ernest Jones is going to come underneath on something and blow it up. Nick Muori coming down on a play action on a tight end, making the play in the end zone. I can picture so many of these things happening. Whether it's Witherspoon, who's playing some of the best football in career right now. Everyone is playing in stride. There's not one person on this team that I can say, They're playing bad football right now. I'm worried how they're going to come out in this game. And I know it's a week-to-week basis, and you can't predict something based on last week. The NFL is ever changing week to week. But I feel great about everyone that's going to walk on that field wearing a blue uniform on Sunday. And I don't feel that way about the Rams. And I think Kate catches up to him. I think McDonald owns McVay, and I think he shows that to him on a national stage. And I think Donald overcomes his demons. And I think it's close. Not predicting a blowout or anything, but I think this offense is they're humming right now, and they're gonna show it on a national stage right now and show why they're the Super Bowl favorite. I think they put up 31 points. I think the Rams put up 24. Um, and I think the Seahawks advance to the Super Bowl. I can't wait. I I just want it to be Sunday at 3:30. That's all I can think about. It's going to be hard to watch the first game, which we'll talk about in a second. Just knowing how much is at stake, the place this team is at right now, I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. So I think the Seahawks win 31-24 and advance to the Super Bowl. All right, to the undercard, which is really what it is, coming in at noon on Sunday. Not going to be as extended as that. Really enjoyed digging into that game. But we have the Patriots versus the Broncos, and obviously the storyline has been Jarrett Stidham. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see Bo Nix in this game because, quite frankly, Bo Nix got his team here. He got the Broncos, who I hated on all year, to a 15-3 overall record, and got them to the first round bye. And he breaks a bone in his ankle on what was it, third to last play of overtime, getting his team into field goal range. It's brutal. It's one of the shitty things about sports is injuries because you never want to see. I want to see both these teams at full strength. I think it'd be a hell of a matchup. I really do. But we're not going to get to see it, quite honestly. And with what we saw last week, the Denver Broncos defense, which is their strong for their team, gave up 30 points to the Buffalo Bills. And that is including Josh Allen throwing 2 interceptions and fumbling 3 times, 3 lost fumbles, turned the ball over 5 times, gave up 30 points. They had to score 33 to win it. The more concerning thing here to me is James Cook running the ball 24 times for 117 yards, which has kind of been the Broncos. They can shut down the run. If they were able to shut down Cook, I don't think the Bills would have had that much success. If the Patriots can get Trayvon Henderson going and Ramondre Stevenson, who was a great 1-2 punch, it was more of a Ramondre show last week with kind of just they were taking care of the football. It was raining. It was wet. They needed the reliable guy in there, and I don't fault that. I think that was the right call, leaving Ramondre in. If they can have that success there, I mean, you look what they gave up to the Buffalo receiving corps. Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 83. Khalil Shakir, 7 for 75. A bunch of other guys tacking on for 30, 32. The Patriots have a better receiving room than that. I think a lot of people do. You got a guy like Stephon Diggs, Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry, who's been a baller this year, Trayvon Henderson in the pass game. They have so many weapons on that offense that I think Drake May, if he can hold on to the football this week, that's going to be a huge thing because they forced 5 turnovers last week, and that was the reason they won this football game. Drake May needs to hold on the ball in the pocket. He needs to have the pocket awareness. He needs to have he needs to play a really good football game. It's one of the best defenses in football, obviously. I believe he can do that. And just looking at the Patriots offense for the Broncos defense, I think they can have success and that they can establish that run early and settle Drake into an AFC championship. Young guy in this game. I think that unfortunately, I think they're going to roll these guys. Obviously, the ESPN's going to tell you all week, don't underestimate Jarrett Stidham. Don't underestimate the Denver Broncos. When you look at it at the end of the day, like I've been a Broncos hater all year. Yes, I have. I don't think that they have the luck's run out, unfortunately, and it's because the quarterback's not there. Bonus game, I think it's very different. But I think that Drake May is going to have so much. I think he's going to have success at Diggs. He connect well early. If they establish that run game early in this football game, it's trouble for Denver because that lets them settle in, score a few times. If you make Jarrett Stidham issue, and I'm only saying this like the Broncos defense is great, obviously. They just give up 30 points last week. They're not immortal. They're not they have a worse defense than the Seahawks or the Texans. And the Patriots having that game against the Texans last week, I think it was really big because it let them, they played an elite defense and they were able to move the football in shitty conditions. I mean, what's the weather going to be a mile high this weekend? Well, I'll pull that up right now. Looks like it's going to be cold, 22 and sunny. Like these guys play in cold weather all the time. That's not going to be an issue for them at all. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem for them at all. And if they can exploit Riley Moss, I saw Kayshon Boutte last week. I mean, has that huge, spectacular catch. I would assume Surtain's going to be on Diggs, whether he's on Boutte when he's on the outside. If they can get Mac Hollins back, I saw you practice today. He's a possibility to be activated off the IR. It's weird saying that Mac Hollins is an X factor, but he's been their big play threat kind of for majority of the season. When Drake goes deep, a lot of the times it's to Mac Hollins. If he can be able to be a guy who can exploit Riley Moss, bigger body, obviously. I think that the Patriots can have some success on offense and put up 3 to 4 touchdowns. The Denver offensive side of the ball. The one positive here, Bo Nix has played in a great system all season long. Sean Payton crafted this system to have success and not put it all on your quarterback. In many games where he isn't the most convincing and he's just dumping it down, the depth of target isn't the craziest, they are able to have success and able to move the ball down the field. And Jarrett Stidham's a gunslinger. I mean, it's going to say, oh, I'm not like Jarrett Stidham is a gunslinger. He was a great prospect at Auburn. I remember him coming out of the draft. A negative here for the Broncos is he was in the Patriots system in 2019, 2020. He played under Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, is said to have taken a great liking to Jarrett Stidham. He wanted him to be, they liked him there. So whether there's some info to be shared there, I'm not sure. I'm not putting too much into that, but it's a factor. The issue to me here is last week against the Bills, which is a notoriously bad run defense, they ran the ball for 70 yards, with 30 of those coming from Bo Nix. 12 carries, 30 yards. Julian McLaughlin, 4 for 21. RJ Harvey, 6 for 20. If your two running backs have 10 carries for 40 yards in this game, you're in trouble. You have to run the ball more with it. You just absolutely have to. This cannot be a game where you're dropping Jarrett Stidham back 46 times. Peyton has to scheme up his best game of his career this weekend. He just has to. Cortland Sutton has to assert himself as a dominant receiver one. If you want to be the receiver one and a top half receiver one in the entire league, you have to assert yourself in this game. Because I don't doubt that Stidham's he's going to go out there. I don't think it's going to be a situation where he looks like he's in over his head or he is just swelling up and not even making throws. I think he's going to go out there and throw the ball. I think he's going to put the ball in the air and give his receivers a chance. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the smoothest thing or whether these decisions are the most optimal or they're the guys that are open, but he's going to give his receivers a chance. He's going to give Cortland Sutton a chance, a big physical guy. Go up and make a play, Cortland. Assert yourself. You can't go 4 receptions on 9 targets for 53 yards this week. You need to make some plays through the air. Their receivers have to catch these contested balls. Marvin Mims, 8 for 93, 1 touchdown. He needs to be in this game. Lil Jordan Humphrey, who made a great contested catch last week, needs to have a day. All these guys in the receiving end need to step up. Pat Bryant, who exited the game early, I'm not sure if he's playing, actually. I'll pull that up. Needs to step up. Everyone else on the Denver offense needs to play a complimentary football game. J.K. Dobbins was limited in practice. They can get him back. That might boost the running game. I'm not quite sure if he's going to go. Pat Bryant played. Troy Franklin practiced limited capacity. Hamstring, I'm not sure about that. With the hamstring, you never really know. Pat Bryant was full, so I expect him to go. It's just hard for me to see an optimistic side for Denver here. And I know it sounds like an every week thing, me picking against the Donkeys, but if they can't run the football in this game, which they struggled last week, like I just said, against a poor run defense, I don't see them being able to run football against the New England Patriots. I think Mike Vrabel is going to have these guys teeing off on Jarrett Stidham, and they're going to pressure him early. I mean, let me see how many times they pressured C.J. Stroud last week. They're going to make his life hell. Genuinely, they're going to make this guy's life hell early in the game. You saw what they did to C.J. Stroud, a veteran not a veteran league, 30-year guy, number 2 overall pick, but he had a horrible time last week. He was pressured 33 times for 3 sacks. And that was due to the fact that the Patriots got ahead early and they had to drop back Stroud. If that's the game script you see this week, it is over. I mean, kind of similar to how it was. They only sacked him 3 times, so they pressured him 33 times. They hit him 6 times. If you hit Jarrett Stidham early, it's going to be cold. He hasn't even thrown a pass in 3 years in a game. It's just a bad story, and it's unfortunate because I want it to be a good game. I'm just going to be thinking about the Seahawks game. I want it to be a good game to pass the time. I don't want it to be a blowout, but I don't see it. I think it's going to be 27-16. Quite honestly, I don't see Denver scoring more. So 27-16 sets up a rematch of that Super Bowl between the Seahawks and the Patriots. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening. I just can't say enough. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm gonna have some stuff coming out on TikTok, Instagram. Before the game, follow me over there, Diego Collie FB Show. Post some polls, post some questionnaires. Might do something Sunday morning. I can't decide. Just talk about the game. But if you made it this far, give the channel a subscribe. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube over here. I'm trying to grow that. Give the clips a share. Give the clips a like when you see them on your social media platform. Follow me on social media for watching, and go Hawks. I hope we're talking about a Seahawks Super Bowl appearance here on Monday. Let's go.